Hey Sam, how's it going?
Good, Brian. There's so much we can talk about. I mean,
Yeah,
I've had so many revelations over the past like 1 to 2 weeks. You would have to agree with this, right? Like, have you ever seen something move this fast in sort of the working environment in the last 50 years or so? Like,
no,
it's unbelievable. It's just totally unbelievable. I had the biggest revelation about data work the last couple of days. So it is so fascinating. And I had a lot of insights over the last couple of days trying to get it working. First of all, it's still too hard to get working for everyone. It's still, I mean, I spent 2.5 hours trying to just get the connection working into Superbase. So, and that was asking AI at every turn, can I do this? Can I do this? It sent me down the wrong path initially. So it's still too hard. It needs to
yep,
turn into plug and play.
yep.
It absolutely does. And whoever figures that out is going to do very, very well, however that may look. But once you get it working, it's just so obvious what's going to happen. It's just so damn obvious that everything is going to move in this direction. There's basically like once you use it once, you just like okay, done. This is exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it's still super early days, but it's just so obvious. It's so obvious. It's such a better experience. The way I was sort of thinking about it was cost per insight, right? So if you think about historic tools, what the cost per insight was, honestly, I think it's 10 times cheaper, 10 times cheaper in MCP just because of the speed, the versatility, the dynamic way you can create it on the fly, the way that you can mash up data from disparate data sources eventually, the way that you
Yeah.
can mesh it with data from the web or insights from just the AI in general. Yeah, it's so damn obvious. It's so obvious. Still too hard for the general person to get going. And
Although
even,
I will Supabase is an edge case
oh,
because
really? Okay.
I have it working in Claude and I can't get it working in any other client and get the full range of tools that
Okay.
Claude shows me. I
Okay.
get
Maybe I
28
chose the
tools
hard
in
stuff.
Claude, I get seven everywhere else, and I it is the damnedest thing to figure out. So you picked perhaps the worst one to start
Yeah, or
with, but
maybe I did. Maybe that's not a bad thing. But that's where it would be most useful to me, right? Because that's where all of my app databases are. And
right,
so
me too.
the ability to just connect to those and just run analysis. I mean, I must say, like, even though I got it working, I tried to add 10 different apps to it and it wasn't working on all of them. So I still have not actually got it perfect. After setting this up and just seeing it, I'm all in. I am all in on MCP. I'm going to figure out every little thing about it because there has to be. I mean, everyone is going to want all of their data in these things, aren't they? Like through this method. I mean, I don't even know what you would call it. Is it like it's a protocol or is it a piece of code or is it a server? Like
It's a
it's
protocol.
protocol. Okay. So, but even though there's a protocol, you still need all the stuff around it to make it to work. Like if you need a custom server, you need, it's like, I mean, if I hadn't got into this sort of app world and sort of figured out what Netlify does and stuff, I'd have no idea what to do. Like absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
This is the future. I mean, it's just absolutely no doubt. I mean, you had definitively showed this already, but I finally got out of my coding IDEs and gave it a try. Tried finally just like pursued getting it working as far as I could. And
You don't
man,
even have to get out of your coding IDs. I mean, you can just stay in windsurf.
I have it set up in Windsor already, by the way. But I wanted to put it into Claude because I wanted to use the charting interface and the ability to like
Uh,
create dashboards and things like that, like to
yeah.
really do data analysis. So yeah, I already have it working in Windsurf, which I have a lot of insights on as well. But yeah, I wanted to see it from the data perspective, the data work perspective.
Claude really does handle the artifacts and the visualization nicely. I like how it runs the split screen and
Yeah.
you can query on one side and watch the visuals build on the other. It's nicely polished relative to the other clients.
Yeah, and the others will get there, I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. But
Oh,
the thing that
probably by
I
next week.
the thing that I like believe now though is the changeover to this style is going to happen so fast. Like I'm talking as soon as connectors are all over, like are available, they're easy to use, they are across all the main AI clients. I mean, this changeover to this new style of an analytics could happen in months, literally months.
Yeah.
because everyone's already in these clients, right? So there's going to be zero friction to go from writing better emails to actually doing data analysis because it is no different, absolutely no different.
Well, you want to hear something that Art Tenek showed me today that I had missed in the discussions a few weeks ago when they were all the companies were presenting their stuff.
Mm,
So I don't know if you watched the NL Web presentation. It was a 30-second part of the Microsoft presentation. And it was kind of cool. It was basically like saying we're going to make websites easier for agents to read. And it
mm,
was, kind of an addition to the JavaScript, libraries. And I thought, oh, okay, that's cool. But what Art showed me today is every website then becomes MPC server,
mm.
um,
Right, right, right. Yes, because I was thinking that, right? I was thinking,
MCP.
yeah, I was thinking, okay, say there's a site with a whole lot of docs on a perfect example. I'm looking at building a mobile app for one of these apps that we're building internally. And my developer said, you need to make sure you use the React Native docs, for example, because you want it to be as up to date as possible, because the AIs might not be as up to date. And I was thinking, okay, well, if that's true. Well, then, yeah, we need an MCP connection to go and do that lookup better than, say, like I don't know, like is a web search going to be enough or something? I don't know. I didn't know the answer to that, but there's opportunities there. That's where there's a lot of opportunity for custom data sets, isn't it? If you can create
Yeah.
custom data sets, people will want to connect to them, right?
Any site now that has data sets on it, you're just going to be able to hook. If this NL Web protocol catches on, which I don't know that it has yet, but it seems sensible to me that once it does, it's just bam, you just say connect to that site and
Mm,
it's hooked up to your model, your IDE.
mm.
It's it's
It's going to be
it's
so fascinating.
remarkable.
Like, how do you charge for these things? How do you charge? How do you
Yeah.
actually get payments and things like this? Like, there's so much of that is unknown, but it seems inevitable to me. Seems inevitable. I mean, every app that you use or you subscribe to as a business, you will demand that they have an MCP sort of connection to their database so that you can get the data out immediately and compare it to other data sets that you have inside your organization doing the same thing.
It's funny, you know how everybody's gonna get paid is exactly the way you said a few weeks ago, which is it's this tiny tax on intelligence. So I've been doing a lot of work with unstructured data over the last week. And if you're taking like audio or video, you've then got to process it. And there's a whole bunch of APIs for that. And you can go over from free to, really expensive. And it's speed, it's accuracy, it's, additional features. And it's like ordering from a menu. And you say, okay, I want this one for, for that. I want this one for, embedding the vectorized chunks in the database. I want this one for, doing the second level ranking. And it's like you're basically picking off an a la carte menu, and each one of those is costing you not a lot, but
Mm.
if you start running a big data set through it's you can rack up some serious money in a hurry.
Right, right. How are you finding the AI agents or just AIs in general on unstructured or messy data?
Amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Sonnet 4 is remarkable. I mean, I was actually I've been like a Gemini Pro 2.5 guy for the last, month,
Yeah.
but the reason I was in Claude is because I can't get the Supabase client to work as well anywhere else. And so
Yeah.
I was kind of like coach stuck in Claude, and
Mm,
it was just cranking out code this weekend, and the code was so good. And at one point I said, is there an MCP server for this? And I had Claude go out and look for one. It said no, but it said I'll write one. And it just
mm,
went, brrr, a
yeah.
minute later I had an MCP server.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're on the cutting edge here, but this changes so much. It's like I can't even believe it. I can't believe how quickly it's going to change. I mean, we've both been pretty into AI, so we know that things do change quite quickly. But I'm telling you, like within a period of months, as soon as this MCP gets connected up to the main AI clients like ChatGPT and Gemini and Copilot and all that, We're talking the entire data industry is going to change in months. In months. Every best, like so many best practices or truisms that you used to have about data, I think are just going to get thrown out the window. I just don't believe you even need them in a lot of cases. Um, like for example, as an example, and also by the way, Databricks and Snowflake are doing exactly the same thing. Like
Exactly.
they are building Copilot type interfaces, right?
And they're
Um,
building the visual front ends.
that's right. That's right. And there's nothing stopping others doing it as well. Even big things like having a central data warehouse or something. Like I'm not even sure that even matters anymore. Like once you do this, right? Like if you can just connect to data where it is and the AI just goes and gets it and finds it, do you need to, there is a lot of services, a lot of business, a lot of workflows set up to bring data all to one central location. Does that even really matter anymore? Like when you go down this route, because all of these pieces of software, like even the big main ones, are going to want to just create MCP connections and the AIs can just do it all. They'll be able to just mash it up on the fly, right?
Right.
Even like, do data models even matter? Do you even need to know any like formulas anymore? Like, I mean, it just changes everything. It changes
I mean,
absolutely everything. I'm
Superbase just you put your data in and it wires it together based on what the questions you're asking are.
100%, 100%. Like, I mean, even some anecdotes I've seen in the last like couple of days. So Lovable has been creating databases for you with AI agents for months, like 9 months, ever since the start. That was always the biggest reason why I thought that was so good because that was so hard. Like to create a database. I mean, everything was hard about app development in my view historically. Like creating a database and knowing all the SQL and knowing how to the codes for row level security and all that. I mean, it's just so hard, so hard. But the AI agents just do all of that for you now. All of it. Don't even need to do anything. Don't
Yeah.
even know, you do not need to know a single line of SQL code at all. And this was backed up by a Databricks CEO. They just bought this other database company called Neon. It's pretty new. And over 80% of their databases are created by AI agents now. So the entire creation and management of databases is just AI agents now. Entire. That's an
Yeah.
entire area of data work which is now run by AI already. And it hasn't really hit the analytics side just yet because we just haven't had the environment to do it. But that's what I'm saying. I think now that I'm seeing what MCP can do, that switch is going to be months. It's going to happen in months. As soon as connections happen, I mean, it's just so
Yeah.
easy, just like talking English or writing English, and it's sort of creating dashboards for you. It's not a Power BI dashboard, not as good as what you could build there, but the cost per insight is just so significant. The reduction is so significant that that changeover is gonna happen so fast. As we've been saying, immensely disruptive, no doubt. But I'm telling you, like we're going to be analyzing 10 times more, probably. Like, that is
Oh
probably
yeah.
happen, right? Like, there's just going to be so much more analyzed. I wrote about this week. I was like, just start thinking bigger. Just honestly, just start thinking bigger. Just think about what you can't analyze right now. Think about what you will be analyze in the future. That's what you need to be gearing up for.
I was talking to a friend who's working with me on a project, and we were saying that if you think of data analysis as kind of a two by two matrix, and you've got internal and external, and structured and unstructured, that if with Power BI, we've been working pretty much just with internal and external structured, but now it is so easy to work with internal and external unstructured.
Yeah.
Um, the AI and the tools do so much of the prep for you that I mean, it was really interesting. There's a guy named Steve Fox who follows my content and comments, and he's always just got really smart comments, really sharp guy. And he said something the other day that like totally kind of turned my perspective on its head, which is we've always talked about kind of the goal of the expert is to build T-shaped expertise, where you're kind of thin and broad across the top and wide and deep in the middle. So you've got your domain, you got your focused domain expertise that goes really deep. And then you've got enough to know kind of what you don't know across the top. And what he was saying is that AI makes it so easy to learn and so easy to do things you didn't know how to do before that T-shaped model is really not applicable anymore. And that really what he was saying is it's become a heat map. That if you look at anybody's capabilities and expertise, it's a heat map, and you have to look at kind of the dark spots on the heat map in relation to each other. And I just thought that was the one of the best insights I'd heard because I had for many, many years, I had said data engineering and enterprise architecture are two things I don't have time to learn. If I'm going to be good at the data analysis and the analytics portion in the center of my T, there are not enough hours in the day for me to learn that other stuff. And I'm just going to
Mm.
delegate those. If I need those on a project, I'm just going to bring somebody in, who really knows that, who, for them is that their center is that. And AI is just changing that. Like it's expanding the boundaries of what I can fill in. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I know a ton more than I knew 6 months ago. 6 months ago I just written those areas off, and now I'm learning them.
100%. I mean, I could never even do it. It's just so hard. Like, so many difficult parts, databases, actually knowing the code.
APIs, security, row
Yeah,
level.
all the stuff, right? Like it's just so hard, so hard. I mean, in a lot of businesses, people specialized in one area, front end, back end. Like,
Right.
I'm already within 9 months building stuff with all of that, all by myself. And I'm doing it in combination with my developers, and they're working on some things as well. I mean, we're just absolutely sprinting like we've never sprinted before. I don't know if this was a good name or it just maybe hasn't resonated that much, but the full stack AI professional, right? Like just being a data analyst is just not going to be enough in the future. There still could be a really key part there, but you're going to need to be a data engineer. You're going to need to be an app developer. You're going to have to be able to connect to APIs. You're going to have to build automations. None of this is actually unachievable or hard anymore. It's all super achievable, and you can be it all. You can honestly be it all. You can be it all. You can be somewhat better at some things than others, but you've always got the AI to augment what you're doing, right? Like there's so many things that I'm learning every day that I'm just getting the AI to assist me at all times. And just think about what this does to humanity. Just think about what that capability lift. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hyperbolic there, but I just think that's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it really when Steve said that, it's like it like these areas that I would say to be good at what you wanted to be good at, you had to ignore. That I always just tell people like you can't be good at everything. And that you can't know everything and don't even try. And that, basically the really top analysts know what they don't know and ignore it and just partner with people who know that stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
now rethinking that. I'm not saying you can learn everything. As you say, you can't be expert at everything, but I think about the fact that, like, if I had to bring a data engineer in on a project now, I would be able to talk to them at such a clearer level, that the productivity of that conversation would be so much better than me kind of, making monkey gestures, trying to describe what I wanted. And, now it's like I can talk, some of that language. I know, some of the constraints and some of the things that are difficult. And it's kind of like what you were talking about, working with your developers, that when you can prototype an app and say, this is what I have in my head, now give me the kind of the pro developer version of that. That's
Mm.
so much better than these old exercises of perspectives and role playing and like user profiles. And this is what it looks like in my head.
Yeah, yeah. Best practices across almost all verticals of jobs are getting changed, aren't they? Like, I mean, what even is a data engineer anymore? Both of us are data engineers now, but all we're doing is we're just prompting in English, do this, do that. I mean, it's democratized it by like a factor of 10, honestly. I've been running AI builders live two times. It's quite a bit to organize, but I found these guys online yesterday who built this tool. So if you want to create a database, right? If you want to create a database, historically you needed to architect the whole thing. You needed to create the SQL to create it, and you had maybe had like the initial data source available, so you kind of knew how to sort of build it out. They've built an AI tool, an AI web tool, which takes a CSV, builds your entire database for you, in one click sends it to Supabase, then pre-populates, goes through your data, creates all the SQL to pre-populate the database. You are just literally clicking buttons at this point. You're clicking buttons. That's what a data engineer does now, even now. Maybe not on all
Yeah.
tools, but that's what's sort of possible. This is, and it's just so early days, but we see it with MCP. I mean, this is what data analytics is going to become. Just no doubt about it.
Well, and the thing about MCP also that just kind of boggles my mind is that over the last few days, I've needed a couple of very specific things. And, I need a tool that does this particular thing. And you just go, Pulse MCP, you call up the catalog. There's 10 people who've written, tools that do that. You kind of take a look at them and you just pop it in and it's there.
Did you say Pulse MCP? Because after my work on it yesterday, I've just been running around trying to find every single resource to
Yeah,
actually.
Pulse MCP is one I really like. This one
Mhm.
actually like highlights a couple of MCP servers a week that they really like that they found really valuable and yeah, so you're in the midst of a project, you need a tool. I just pop this catalog open, see who's done it and then just plug it in.
So this is sort of saying, so okay, let's just take Minimax for example. Enables high quality text to speech voice cloning. So is this saying that within Claude you can get all this done? Is that kind of
Yeah.
what this is
Yeah.
what this means? So you just pop a what about if that file was sitting in a Superbase database? Can you connect to the Superbase database, then connect to
Sure.
this, and then it will run that for you, give you a file, send it to Superbase? Is that kind of the idea?
Exactly.
Oh my God, that is unbelievable. Our entire lives are going to be around these AI clients, aren't they? Our entire lives. We're not going to exit them. They are the new as we have known or have definitely heard, they are the new operating systems.
Yeah. Oh, I rarely leave now.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is the opportunity? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, other than just the infrastructure, right? So the infrastructure, so like you connect to these MCP servers, you're paying a subscription fee or you're paying a cost per action fee. What other opportunities are there?
One of the things that you've been focusing on is kind of how do you build stuff in a quality way? That it's robust, that's secure, that is traceable, and yeah, I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is there's still a huge value in knowing, kind of having strong fundamentals, because the one thing that really surprises me, and maybe this will improve quickly, but as smart as the AI centerpiece is, it doesn't really have a big picture sense of things. So
Mm,
for example, I was working on something where it was I was taking unstructured audio transcripts and I was converting them to text and then putting that into Superbase. And it was taking like 22 hours to run the transcripts. And
mm,
I was thinking, man, there's got to be a faster way to do this. And I was using the OpenAI Whisper. And so what I did is I said, I said to Claude, I'm like, isn't there a faster way to do this? And
mm,
it said, well, I can run a deep research. And I'm like, do that and see if there are better, faster tools for doing this. And
mm,
there are ones that are literally 215 times faster.
mm,
And it's like, it didn't think to ask, like, well, here's 22 hours. Like maybe we can shorten that down to like, 45 minutes. And, you know, that there's so many times I've found like one of the other things Claude will do is it will it will not have knowledge, and this is true of all the main models. It doesn't have knowledge of the tools it has access to. And like it'll say, I can't access Supabase. And I'm like, of course you can. And I said, you've
Oh
got
yeah,
27 tools connected.
I
And
don't
I
have
think there's,
the same thing.
for lack of a better word, kind of management skills. Um,
Mm,
you're kind of an orchestrator now. And the thing that is really interesting is I think it's really going to come down to who manages these tools the best. And I really see there's a lot of opportunity for place like Enterprise DNA who can train people in a creative way to be those really top-notch orchestrators, but also I think developing tools and checklists and aids to kind of help you identify those trouble spots. You're building all these apps, but who's going to manage them? And
Mm.
it really seems to me that kind of the winning thing right now is developing better orchestrators. The tools are getting so good that it's really the weak point is going to be at the director level.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I'm just really struggling with online learning and informational content right now is that I'm mainly just learning through the AIs these days. I'm just not sure informational content. I think the value of it just there's just not much value there. And so this is a trade-off that I'm having to make internally with Enterprise DNA, right? Is that if the value is not there, there's no growth opportunity there. There's just nothing there. Why actually spend any time there? Why not spend time in a new space where there actually is a lot of opportunity, which I keep saying there is, and I truly believe it. And so that's sort of the honestly, it's not a tough call in my mind anymore. It used to be, but it's not. These AIs just know everything, right? And they have access to search. You can usually find a way. It's more dynamic. It's just quicker. It's kind of exactly like what analytics is going to turn into. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
In some respects, I think you're you're absolutely right. And I think it's going to become even more so when you can take a switch and say, watch my screen for 2 minutes as I use this program, and then build me a program that does that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that when it gets to that point, which I think if we're not there yet, we're damn close.
Mm,
At that point, it's kind of awesome from the user standpoint, but where's the developer benefit to doing it? I mean, when you look at this Pulse MCP, as I say, any tool you can think of, and this is at the infant stages, any tool I can think of, there's 8 of them already built.
right.
And the biggest thing is just figuring out which one to use. And
Mm,
that's 6 months after this came into play.
mm,
How long did it take after the PC came into play before you had a really robust suite of apps? I mean, it was a decade or more.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and now 6 months, you've got your biggest problem is figuring out which app to use.
Yeah. Well, this is what I saw 9 months ago, the democratization of app development. And these tools have just got better. They've got way, way better, way faster. I mean, even the last month, it just blows my mind at how good these tools are. I mean, I'm at a developer level that is insane, and I'm not writing any code, none. I'm just prompt. I understand what I'm doing. Like, I'm very across what I'm building now, but I'm just prompting away, and these tools are getting so good. And with that, you're just seeing an acceleration in software. Right? You're seeing this like acceleration in what can be done with software. I mean, I'm telling you, I have these insights about where software is going as well. You don't use Windsurf, do you, that much?
Not yet. I'm getting there. Like I think, I've become like a total super based devotee. And so the next thing I'm going to do is really plug Lovable into that. And so I
Sure.
think once I do that, then when I start seeing the gaps in that triumvirate, I think
Mm.
that's when I really start moving into windsurf.
Yeah, when you get into GitHub, so like you just build the connection into GitHub through Lovable, that synchronization is just so smooth, and then yeah, it's a very simple move from there. But these coding IDEs are a sign of what's coming to all work. I'm telling you, like in the last month, and what these IDEs have built around the AIs. It's not just the AIs, what they've built around the AIs. So what happens in Windsurf now when I use Gemini 2.5 Pro is you write a prompt. The prompt might be very straightforward, or and when I say prompt, I'm just saying I just talk to I just talk right, what I need, what I want, right? There's nothing strategic about my prompting. It then assesses what you ask, and then it creates a plan. The plan could be very short if it's a very simple change, but the plan could be massive, like really long and extensive if it needs to do a lot of things, like if it needs to refactor 10 files or something to get the job done. And then it progressively works through those tasks one by one. If it finishes the task, it goes to the next one. If it doesn't finish the task and it spots errors or something's gone wrong in the app, it goes back and tries to fix that. I mean, this just was didn't even exist a month ago or even a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. When I first saw this, I mean, I only saw it like a week ago and started using it. I was like, holy crap, the agents are coming. Like this is the agentic era that everyone has been talking about. Yeah, I mean, these things are doing enormous amount of work through one prompt. And it's very, very precise. Very precise. So it's not like they're going off on some random tangent anymore, like they used to. They're very precise about what they're doing. I'm not going to say 100% correct. Like there's still probably 80 to 90% correct, and you have to like really watch it. But that's more so from like a misunderstanding of what you asked versus them
Mm.
just going off and doing something random. And I'm
What's
telling
your base model now? Like, what's your go-to?
Oh, I've been using Gemini 2.5 Pro,
Gemini.
but I'm hearing rave reviews about Claude online constantly every day, particularly on Twitter. So I'm going to figure that out. I'm hearing like very, very recently as well with the latest model upgrade from Anthropic, so Claude 4. I'm hearing rave reviews about Claude Code, this terminal-based thing. I just can't get it working on my machine. I tried yesterday, but I've got to try it out. I'm already doing amazing things in Windsurf, so I don't really feel like I need to move, but I've got to check this out. Like everyone's just raving about it. One of the things that's coming as well, the insights that I have about analytics are flowing from what I'm seeing with MCP, but also what I'm seeing in the coding RDEs, right? These agents can figure out so much stuff. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable now. And so if you have all the MCP connections, there is, these agents will be able to figure out how to clean data. They'll figure out how to find the right insight. They'll figure out how to create the right visualization. I'm sure they're going to figure it out.
Oh, you want to hear something insane about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Is that and this is where this is a perfect example of what you're talking about. When I've been using my MCP servers, I have it often save the results to Obsidian. And I've got an MCP client, and I say, every time it runs a prompt, it says, do you want to save this prompt and the
Mhm.
results? And I either say yet Y or N. And that's just run out of my custom instructions. Well, what's happened is it's learned that that's where I keep my stuff. And
Right.
so if it doesn't understand something I ask it, or it needs more information, it just goes to Obsidian and looks in my prompt library to see if it can find that information before it even asks me again. I mean, I never told it to do that.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
the
the
first time
memory
it did
thing.
it, I was like, "What? How the hell did you know to do that?" And it's like, it's because every time I save a prompt, it sees that. And I was like, "Wow." That is when I thought, okay, this thing has made the leap that it is learning from what I do and using
Mhm.
that information to get better.
Yeah, and it's saving into memory. Memory is the single feature that will capture you and you'll never want to leave, right? And what I'm seeing online, I haven't figured this out yet, but I'm just all in. I'm going to figure everything out from what I'm seeing is that in Windsurf and in Lovable, you're basically just working on one feature at a time because you just prompt and then it works on the feature, you wait and that's happening a lot quicker. But what's happening now is that people are working on multiple features on the same code base, like at once. Like they'll spin up 10 Claude codes or they'll have 10 different agents running, doing different things on their app. So software development's about it's just mind-boggling to think. Mind-boggling. I've listened to a few interviews and things like that about the future. One was from the CEO of Cursor, who's quite young actually. He's like a young guy. And yeah, he says even in 2 to 3 years, software development from today is going to be unrecognizable. So we're talking that there's just going to be software everywhere, everywhere. It's hard to fathom how much this changes. I mean, it's going to change a lot, obviously. But I was thinking, even a few years ago, all you used to hear about ERP implementations was how they're just like cost overruns, massive blowouts, like never seemed to work, never were able to be customized. I mean, you are going to be better off. Yeah, I mean, even today, I reckon you're probably better off building your own custom ERP system for your business. You probably are. You're probably better to vibe code it in most cases than go with one of the historic vendors.
So one thing I wanted to, we don't often disagree, but one of the ones I do want to disagree on is memory. That
Mm.
I don't think memory is a barrier at all anymore. That again, this is another thing MCP has changed is that
Right.
What I do now is I work, I'm trying to kind of not get pulled in any one direction, to kind of keep all my options open. The main client I'm using is one called Cherry Studio, and
Mhm.
it lets you
I know
enter
that.
all your API codes at your API keys, and you have access to not only all of your subscriptions, but then Open Router. So you've got, 500 models plus your subscriptions.
Hmm.
And the cool thing about it is there MC like if you go to Pulse MCP and type memory, there
Yeah.
are tons of MCP servers that carry your memory from one model to
Ah,
the next and one
ah,
subscription next. So your
yeah.
memory is not tied to OpenAI or Claude. It carries with you like, like a backpack.
Aha. That's really smart. I've heard of Cherry Studio. I've been on GitHub. Their GitHub, I've starred their GitHub repos
Yeah.
because it's open source, right? So you downloaded it and you're using the open
Oh,
source
I'm
version.
I'm 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 working in it primarily now.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow.
The only thing that's keeping me in anything else is I can't crack the super base problem in it yet.
So they have the ability to connect to MCP within that client.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. That is exactly what I need. I think these big players like ChatGPT and Claude and Copilot and Gemini, they're going to try and use memory as this thing that captures you in, right? So there's no doubt about that. But that's super interesting that it doesn't even matter, right? Like you
Oh,
could
I
just
mean, if you go to that Pulse MCP and just type memory, there's a million memory apps now.
okay, let's have a look. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
And
explore
so
this more. So basically, you basically, so it's explain because I'm not that like I understand kind of what a server is. I get it, but how does it save within the server? Is it just saving within a database in the server? Is that kind of the idea?
yes.
Okay, so many of these may be super-based databases or AWS databases or Azure databases.
And the other thing is too, I think there are some that use like a structured local, that like
Oh, like on your machine. Okay, so it creates it on your machine.
yeah. And
Okay,
so, it kind of in the way that unintentionally Obsidian has become a memory carrier for me.
right.
But
Okay,
these are kind of purpose built to do exactly that and to keep you from
interesting.
getting locked into any one.
So you pay $20 a month for massive, so that you can put your memory across to different models.
Yeah.
This is really interesting because I've said this for some time. Like and I think it's proven to be true, is that to like you really run a risk, I think, if you lock yourself into one supplier of AI models. Like if you lock yourself into ChatGPT, yes, in general, you'll get a good experience, but you'll miss out on if a better model shows up, if a better model for a certain thing shows up in a different place. So, there's a lot of benefit for businesses to sort of stay impartial and to use tools potentially that don't lock you in, that they give the ability through APIs to do different things and also through MCP clients to do different things.
Yeah, 100%. That as I've been saying that like you're now managing a team of models and nobody
Mm,
OpenAI is probably the closest, but nobody has. I mean, as much as I love, Gemini, it's really only got two models. It's Pro and Flash.
yeah.
And what you really need is, I use 10 models now. Gemini Pro, I use Flash, I use, Opus, I use Sonnet 4, and then there's, O3, O4 Mini, 4.0 for, multimedia. It's like
Mhm.
every task has a model that does it better for that particular thing. And
Mm,
so, nobody offers the full suite of models that is my choice for every task that I do. And so the
mm,
ability to
mm,
kind of stay flexible and be able to hot swap. I mean, I can hot swap right in the middle of a conversation.
mm. Yeah, that's so fascinating. So fascinating. I see again, I haven't got that far down the line, but I'm gonna do that too because that makes complete sense, right? I think
It's
there's a
like
lot of
carry your
business.
memory, carry your
Yeah,
subscriptions,
yeah, yeah.
and you're not tied to anybody.
Mm, mm. Yeah, so interesting. So interesting.